So in this video, I'll be showing you a fantastic upgrade to freshen up your wardrobe for the summer season. So linen is a very popular cloth to wear in spring and summer. It's probably the most famous sort of spring-summer cloth. It's very breathable. It's got lovely spring colours. It's mostly famous for shirting and tailoring, but you can also make accessories out of it. And we're here to talk about linen ties today. Now, I love linen ties, and they're a really useful addition to your wardrobe because they can just change a whole look of an outfit just very simply. They're great for some of the sort of modern invitations you get where it's sort of spring cocktail or casual weddings where you want to look dressed up but not too traditionally formal. A plain linen tie is so versatile and just lifts up a blazer or a suit. So if you're going to a summer wedding and it just looks more occasion and less corporate. Things to look for in a linen tie, certainly in a plain, is I'd always go for something which has got a little bit of rich texture to it. So it looks like linen and it doesn't just look like a creased silk, because it will, linen creases, and that's a conversation I've had for every summer for 30 years in menswear, where you get the people that like linen and dislike linen, and they're never going to agree. Linen does crease, linen ties will crease, but I'll come to how that can be managed and how it looks considered rather than sloppy. Also, with linen ties, I tend to break a few of my own styling rules. When I wear a tie, I've always said, and always will say, your tie should be darker than your shirt. And I actually prefer my tie to be slightly darker than my jacket most of the time. And you're gonna kind of, if you're gonna go darker than your shirt, you can only wear it with white. Now this would look fantastic on a white shirt, particularly if it was for a wedding and quite dressed up. But for a blazer look, I'm kind of okay to mix it with pale blue, sometimes even stripes. And the tie is a little bit lighter than the overall outfit. I think for summer, you can kind of carry that off. You see all the slubs, all the detail and the richness of the linen come through. So I think if you're looking to get the perfect linen tie, this is the colour to get. It really, you get the full benefit of the texture, the colour, the handle, and it just adds a whole new dynamic to your summer blazer outfits. Here, we've actually used a beautiful sort of cutaway linen shirt, which again, isn't the sort of thing you used to see a few years ago, but now casual and formal and mixing, and when it's done beautifully and elegantly, these are the sort of things we're now achieving, these cutaway collars. And then your classic summer blazer. This is just a classic wool fresco. This is actually my blazer, and it's for a point of difference. When I had this made many years ago, rather than the traditional brass buttons, which I do like, I had these ecru mother of pearl buttons put onto it, and it just pops with the tie. I think it's a very nice, smart, considered look. And then of course, where do you go with the pocket square? Now this is a general rule I'd say for all linen ties, is I'd probably avoid doing linen tie with a linen pocket square. I think it's really nice to do a silk pocket square because it's more of a contrasting texture. You've got a lovely dry texture of the tie with the smooth, slight sheen of the silk. So it looks really interesting and more visually exciting. And again, the pattern of the pocket square is the only pattern in this combination. There's still quite a lot going on without it because it's quite a bold look, the buttons and the freshness of the tie. But you get that little bit of detail here where they certainly complement one another, but they've got that different textures. So I think it's a really smart look. You have options on the trousers. Now, some people find linen trousers, they crease too much, but I actually like the combination of wearing a linen trouser with a wool jacket. This wool jacket is a fresco, so it won't crease too much. So if you're on the fence about linen, a pair of pale coloured linen trousers would really complement this. And for some people, it's easier to wear than the whole suit in linen because you just feel quite creased, if that's not your style. And if linen trousers aren't your thing, plenty of other options. Cotton doesn't crease, it does crease, but not as in the same way as linen. Wool frescoes, gabardines, but generally a lighter coloured trouser always complements this outfit. When I wear this look with cream trousers, I often wear a two-tone spectator style loafer, sometimes a lace up. If that's a bit too dandy for you and it's not your taste, the ubiquitous mid-brown tobacco suede loafer will also look good. You may be a little bit nervous of buying a linen tie if you've never had one before because of the creasing, and that's one of the big reasons people either do or don't like linen, is because it creases. Now a linen tie, of course it will crease, but it doesn't really get any worse when you're wearing it, because when you're wearing, say, a linen blazer, you get those creases in the elbow, in the jacket, as you move and sit down, and it gets creased. A linen tie doesn't get that same sort of wear, so what you do find, you get this beautiful dimple. So you need to tie it when it's new, because it's not like silk. It's slightly stiffer to tie. So I would always suggest going for a smaller, neater knot, certainly the first time you wear it. Even if you're a Windsor knot fan, this isn't really the time to wear it because it is slightly thicker. And the first time you wear it, and this is good advice for actually any tie, but particularly for linen, is to be quite gentle in the knot. Don't force it and don't push it down too much. You don't want to stretch the fabric. Linen can stretch. So can silk, but you'll notice it more on linen. So just be quite gentle the first time you wear it. Make sure you get a small dimple, and with wear, and the next 2 or 3 wears, it will tie easier and have that lovely shape to it. But don't force it and don't put it too tight, because you can pull it out. But actually a slightly looser knot tied at the neck kind of matches the sort of aesthetic of linen, that sort of smart casual thing. It's not formal, it's not buttoned up, it's not super sharp. It's that more sort of casual elegance. Also, light colours and linen, make sure you wash your hands before you tie. You've got clean hands. Again, this is good advice every time you wear a tie, but on something like a grey shade, your hands aren't very clean, you're going to soil the time. With time, you'll get a slightly darker grey knot, which doesn't look very good at all. So make sure your hands are clean, you tie it gently, respect the linen, and with time, it'll always have a beautiful, beautiful knot. So a linen tie today really fits interestingly on the informal, formal, smart, casual spectrum. Where does it sit? Because it's a real mixture. I think you can wear it to a summer wedding with a smart suit to be a nod towards the season. It looks quite festive and less corporate. But because of the casual nature of it, if you enjoy wearing ties, and I think probably a lot of our viewers enjoy wearing ties, it's a great tie you can wear less formally. If you just want to put a tie on to go to a restaurant on the weekend with a softer cut, maybe a button down, a linen tie looks a little bit easier to mix into that smart casual look than a traditional woven. A linen blend tie is also useful for summer occasions. Get that lovely contrast, particularly if it's like a stripe, where some of the stripes are in the silk, so they've got that slight sheen to them, to the drier handle of the linen. So it's a really lovely texture and contrast in the same garment. How I've styled it here is actually gone full on. I've really lent into the linen here with a pure linen smart shirt, a linen jacket, and I've actually used a very simple linen pocket square. I didn't like a linen square with a pure linen tie. I think you're missing out on great contrast here, because you've got so much contrast in the tie. You can either contrast as fabric with it, you can either go with silk or it can go with linen. I just think the white here looks really, really fresh. Again, you could go completely full out here on linen. You could go for some sort of neutral linen trousers. I prefer linen trousers cut a little bit fuller because they hang better, you get more coolness from them, and they drape and they crease a bit more sympathetically. Probably go for as just a simple loafer, but again, this is a really nice dressed up sports jacket look, ideal for an informal wedding. Well, I hope I've inspired you to try a linen or a linen blend tie for your next summer occasion. As usual, there's a link below to some similar content, and don't forget to subscribe.